answer out ad cautelam and the manifestation of waiver of filing of reply of both the complainants of the third and the fourth impeachment complaint. I was explaining kanina that because of the waiver of reply in the third and fourth impeachment complaint, it rendered the answer of the respondent as the last responsive pleading. And considering that it is the last, it is therefore considered, further considered, submitted for the purpose of determination of the existence of sufficient ground that supports the impeachment complaint. Well, apparently, walang masyadong ma-comment ang mga members. And the reason is because the answer did not address the allegations of offenses and grounds. No? So, to summarize, ang naging laman ng answer revolve on the allegation of violation of due process and failure to state ultimate facts. No? But to be candid, this is not for us to address anymore. Committee on Justice is not the proper forum if the allegation is violation of due process and failure to state ultimate facts. The proper remedy is not to go to the Committee on Justice. Instead, it is to go to the Supreme Court. That is why the Honorable Tino, I think it was him who made mention of the possibility of the respondent going to the Supreme Court again. No? Nonetheless, in my capacity as Justice Chair, I maintain the position that the committee observed the necessary requirement of due process. As a matter of fact, the filing of answer is part of due process, but it was not substantially availed of in view of the fact that the allegations in the answer are not responsive to the allegations in the complaint. Kasi pag sumasagot ka, dapat sagot yun dun sa complaint eh. But indeed, it did not delve on the allegations in the complaint. That is why some members are saying that the answer is not really an answer. Instead, it is a motion to dismiss, which under Section 6 of the Rules of Impeachment is prohibited to be filed during the period for filing an answer, to be specific, no? So, that's one. And as you have witnessed, nauubusan na yung mga kongs ng ima-manifest. Again, the reason is, wala kasing laman yung sagot except the issue of violation of due process and failure to state ultimate facts, no? And that explains also while SDML Nonoy Defensor timely move to proceed to voting. Iisa pa lang ang nakakapag-manifest dun sa fourth impeachment complaint. Actually, not only SDML Defensor, even DS Janet Garin was waiting to be recognized on the same intention of proceeding to vote. Also, the Honorable Rodriguez, Rufus Rodriguez, he has been whispering to proceed to voting. Again, the reason behind this is because there's no subject matter of manifestation really, because the answer does not contain allegations responsive to the offense and to the ground. Instead, it contains only allegations of violation of due process and failures to state ultimate facts, no? So, to summarize, we finished the deliberation on the third and the fourth for the purpose of the determination of sufficiency and ground. And ultimately, the members moved, the members seconded the motion, and no one objected. That is the reason why the chair proceeded to declare the sufficiency in ground of the two impeachment complaints. If there is no objection, it means that the justice members are unanimous in approving the motion raised by a member. So and in addition to that, formally terminate natin yung step 3, that is the determination of sufficiency in ground. And we made mention as well that we are shifting to step 4 already. That is the hearing proper, for which reason we announced predetermined dates. Kaya predetermined is because we were able to consider those dates only this morning. No? Only this morning. And that is, of course, on the assumption that the committee will declare sufficiency in ground. No? Kahapon, hindi pa namin ma-final really what's gonna happen in today's hearing except for preliminary matters because we haven't heard about the 4th impeachment complaint. Ang una lang naming narinig is the waiver of the complainant of the 3rd impeachment complaint. But for the 4th, I don't know, I think it was later in the afternoon when they filed their manifestation for waiver of their reply. No? So we announced already that March 25 and then April 14, 22, and 29 are the initial schedules. We will definitely schedule further should the same be necessary. No? So for our opening statement, that would be all. Thank you.
Good morning po. Kapansin-pansin po yung wala nga pong nag-object, wala rin si Kong Bong Suntay doon sa proceeding kanina. Nagulat po ba kayo hindi rin po nag-object itong si Kong Paulo Marcoleta?
Hindi siya makaka-object kasi hindi siya member. At tingin ko he has to review the rules first before making commentaries to the committee.
Kung bago po tayo mag-delve doon, kasi you mentioned before yung motion po ni Kong Shell Jokno regarding po doon sa kanyang mga pinapasabina and hiling po doon sa paglipat ng custody kay Ramil Madriaga. Hindi po natin siya natalakay ngayon. Kailan po kaya natin siya?
We opted to address the request for issuance of subpoena and the petition for protective custody. We were corrected by Congressman Shell Jokno. It is not specifically a petition for transfer of custody. It is a petition for protective custody. And transfer of custody can be one of the measures to address protective custody. That's what he said, no? We opted to defer the deliberation on this request and petition because this should be part of the hearing proper, no? And for the purpose of our hearing on March 25, the respondent necessarily has to be notified because she should be given the opportunity to participate in the hearing already as part of her right to due process. Etong determination of sufficiency in ground, this is really a deliberation between and among the members only. And we are basing our consideration on the complaint and the answer and the evidence which are already available, no? But for the purpose of hearing proper, due process must be observed, and therefore, notice must be given as well to the parties, the complainant, the witnesses, and the respondent. No? And that is the reason why we defer to deliberate on the request for issuance of subpoena of documents as well as the petition for protective custody filed by Congressman Shell Jokno.
Ma'am, ano pa po yung mga abangan natin come March 25?
Well, marami pong mga i-dispose na motions po doon. So yung pong bagay kay Congressman Jokno, yung custody po ni Mr. Madriaga, yung pong mga motions to subpoena all the relevant documents will be raised there. Yung pong objections to the entry of appearance, doon sa dalawa pong mga abogado ni Vice President Sara Duterte, yung pong subpoena ng SALENS, bank records, tax documents corporate records po ng mag-asawang Duterte Carpio at ng pong mga kumpanya na nakalista po sa 2024 SALN will probably be raised in that proceeding.
May
In addition, they are requesting likewise for the documents of the Committee on Good Government. That is with respect to our inquiry in the 19th Congress. No? They are requesting also for the COA documents. That is apart from the SALN, ITR, and bank records mentioned by the Honorable Ridon.
Ma'am, yung paggulong, can you walk us through lang po yung sa mangyayari sa March 25, yung first complaint po muna tatalakayin, paano po yung mangyayari, will there be, cross-examination, yung pagpepresenta na po ng ebidensya? Can you just walk us through po yung mangyayari?
Yeah, so this will be a mini trial, should I say, no? Because the full-blown trial will happen in the Senate. What is important is to give ample opportunity to the complainant to present their witness and evidence per ground, no? Per ground. We've been discussing this with the members kasi if you will notice, the grounds in the third and fourth impeachment complaint are almost similar. So we are seeing the possibility that while the presentation of evidence must be done per complaint, there is a possibility of adoption of witnesses, adoption of evidence, adoption of direct and cross-examination by the time we deliberate on the fourth impeachment complaint. But definitely, notwithstanding the fact that the answer of the respondent is not actually responsive to the allegations, she will still be given ample opportunity to present her evidence after the complainant. And in addition also, the rule is very clear that only the justice members are allowed to conduct direct examination and cross-examination, no? Which means that while the parties may avail themselves of the services of lawyers, no? The participation of lawyers with respect to the proceeding before the Justice Committee is limited only to assisting their clients.
Paano po yun, kunyari, di ba we'll be inviting the respondent, VP Sara, pag hindi pa siya pumunta, sino po yung pwede magsalita in behalf of her?
Ang tanong ko, how can the lawyer assist if the client is not present?
So, it's mandatory for her to appear before the House Justice Committee because how can the lawyer assist her if the respondent is not present?
As I have been explaining, this is her prerogative. Her presence during the hearing proper and even her presentation of evidence is actually part of her right to due process. As to whether he will avail of the same, it depends on her. That is an option that belongs to the respondent. But as to your question, what will happen to the lawyer if the respondent is not around? According to the rules, only the justice members are allowed to conduct direct examination and cross-examination. So I wish to raise the same question. How will the lawyer participate or how will the lawyer assist? Actually, they're not allowed to participate. That's why kanina, when Attorney Ligutan confirmed the manifestation of waiver of reply, I placed it on record that his participation is in his capacity as an attorney in fact, representative, and not in his capacity as a lawyer. No? Because in as far as lawyers are concerned, the rule is clear. Only justice members are allowed to conduct direct and cross. And the participation of lawyers are limited only to assisting clients. Who are the clients? The complainant, the witness, and the respondent. So kung wala yung parties, kung wala yung client, how will the lawyers assist?
But the House Justice Committee can still conduct a mini trial even without the respondent.
It is incumbent upon the respondent to present her evidence. So, if the respondent is not interested to present her evidence, I don't think that there will be proper party to do that presentation in behalf of the Vice President.
Right po. Yung isa po sa mga counsel ng complainant sa third impeachment complaint, particularly Attorney Ligutan, he believes po and he is anticipating na questionin po itong proceedings before the Supreme Court. And even one of your members, si Congressman Tino po, naniniwala rin na ganun. Do you share the same sentiment and how does the House Justice Committee prepare for it?
That is a possibility actually, because as what the member said, the contents of the answer of the respondent are not actually responsive to the allegations of the offense and the ground. Instead, it alleges violation of due process and failure to state ultimate facts. And these are matters which should not be addressed to the Justice Committee. This should be addressed to the Supreme Court via a petition. So, yes, I see that possibility.
But how does the Justice Panel prepare for it?
We will simply proceed. Kung walang TRO, kung walang temporary restraining order, at kung wala namang adverse declaration pa, ang Supreme Court on the legality or constitutionality of our proceeding, this is a constitutional duty. So, we have to continue hearing the impeachment complaint.
Hello po. Dito po, sa kabila.
Kenneth.
Yeah. Baka po pwedeng maliwanagan what will happen if the Vice President won't attend itong mini trial nga po. Ano yung mangyayari? Magpapatuloy pa rin po ba yung proceedings?
If she doesn't attend. Una, nakalagay po sa rules no, na meron pong karapatan mag-present ng ebidensya ang respondent. No? So, the Vice President in each and every ground will be allowed to present her evidence against the evidence that will be presented by the complainants. No? So, ibang bagay pa ho if she will not opt to provide this particular option, no? Will not use this particular option for her to present her evidence. No? So, kung hindi niya gamitin yun, tuloy pa rin ho yung pong proceedings on a ground per ground basis.
Pero sino po yung magpe-present ng evidence for the respondent if she won't attend the hearings po?
Well, my understanding is it should be the respondent that should present no, the evidence and should elicit yung presentation po ng evidence po niya. No? So, we will discuss with the committee kung ano pa ho yung mga pwedeng mga gawin relating to the presentation of evidence, not just of the Vice President, but of the respondent, but also of the complainants. No? Pero my understanding is, ang kailangan po talaga magpresenta ron, yung pong respondent. Kasi ang magpipresenta for the other side would be the complainants themselves.
And based on the Vice President's initial reply, how does the panel expect the proceedings to, ano yung mangyayari sa committee once the hearings happen, given how the Vice President responded to the charges, to the allegations against her?
Well, hindi naman ho natin pinapangunahan yung Pangulong Pangulo no, on how they will conduct themselves in the course of the proceedings. No? So, ang gagawin po ng komite, there will be a portion in the presentation of evidence that is reserved for the respondent, for the Vice President, for them to present their evidence. No? So, that will be secured in each and every stage of the proceeding, whether or not she will avail of it.
Kong Eden Santos po from Net25. Kasi po kanina sinasabi niyo lahat dun sa hearing na hindi sumagot ang Vice Presidente. Well, in fact, yung kanyang isinumite ay consolidated verified answer ad cautelam. Paano po nasabi na hindi siya sumagot? Well, in fact, dun malinaw na answer. At ang sabi po sa number 1, hindi po naiiba dun sa 2025 articles of impeachment yung i-final po ngayong 20th Congress. So sinagot niya yung final na mga reklamo. Ang sabi lang niya ay hindi siya naiiba doon sa mga naunang 19 Congress. So recycled Yun po ang sagot niya.
Actually, the reason why the justice member said that this is similar to the answer to the first impeachment complaint is because the answer to the first and the answer to the second both did not respond to the allegations of offenses and grounds. Instead, they raised this issue of unconstitutionality, violation of due process. That is why, si Joel ba yun? One of the justice members said that this is similar to the answer that was filed to the first impeachment complaint. You know, there is an existing rule which says that you examine the pleading and you assess it not on the basis of the title, but on the basis of the allegations in the body, no? And the observation of the justice members, bagaman ang kanyang titulo ay consolidated answer, if you read the allegations, considering that they are not responsive to the offenses and the grounds, it is more of a motion to dismiss rather than an answer to the complaint. You judge the pleading not on the basis of the title. You judge it on the basis of the allegations in the body.
Pero po yung naglalaman din po yung kanyang sagot nung ilang grounds na hindi nga lang talaga yung
That's correct.
grounds
That's correct. They
point
were
per point.
cited by Kong Rufus. As a matter of fact, in response to the allegations of misuse of confidential fund, they merely cited that there's a pending petition for review with the COA. But sinabi din ni Kong Rufus, no details. And that is why Kong Rufus said, I am in favor of proceeding to the declaration of sufficiency in ground.
Good afternoon po, Haji Kaaminyo sa Brigada News FM. So if the Vice President decides not to attend at all the impeachment proceedings to present her evidence or yung mga testigo po nila at magpasaklolo po kung sakasakali sa Supreme Court, hindi po ba parang panibagong issue na naman po yon ng judicial overreach kung sakali?
We cannot actually stop them from going to the Supreme Court, no? At any stage of our proceeding in the Justice Committee, they have always the prerogative of going to the Supreme Court to question the legality of our proceeding, no? But that is her prerogative, and the only option we have is to continue on this impeachment proceeding for as long as there is no TRO yet, and for as long as there is no adverse declaration yet of the highest tribunal.
At ano po yung pwedeng implication or indication po nun kung sakaling sa Supreme Court nga po ulit yung magiging labanan?
Well, makikita ho natin yung pagka ho nagpunta sila sa Korte Suprema na. Pero handa naman ho yung komite na harapin po yung lahat ng aspeto na pwede hong banggitin, no, ng Pangalawang Pangulo. Dahil I think as far as we're concerned, from the beginning up until today and moving forward, yung po nga binabanggit niya na wala daw pong due process, hindi ho yung totoo. Di ba? I think that has been reiterated ever since the answer has already been given, no, since Monday. No? So, and pangalawa, hindi din ho totoo na walang ultimate facts na binabanggit. Merong re-reading nga ho kanina nung po mga facts na papatunayan in the course of the proceeding. So, we will wait. If there will be a resort to the Supreme Court, then that will happen. Pero katulad ng binanggit po niya, Chair Jinky, for as long as there is no temporary restraining order on the proceedings, the Justice Committee will fulfill its mandate to prosecute this up until the very end.
Thank you po.
Good afternoon po. Yung sa answer lang po ni Vice President, meron siyang, well, at least 3 lang yung nakita ko na parang kahit pa, although remotely nag-address dun sa allegations, sinasabi po niya wala naman daw pong kontrata, there's no contract dun sa threat to kill the President and First Lady and former Speaker Romualdez. Tapos yun nga, under appeal yung COA Notice of Disallowance, and that Madriaga is lying at sinampahan nga niya ng perjury complaint sa Taguig. I understand sa Taguig Court po iyon. Itong 3 pong sinabi ko, yung mga sinabi ni Vice President, hindi po ba ito answer dun sa allegations na nakalagay po sa complaint?
Well, it can be considered an answer, pero it could have been the opportunity of the respondent if she ventilated all her arguments via that consolidated answer, no? As you have said, very limited yung naging allegations niya in response to the allegations in the complaint, no? Sayang ito because this is considered also in the determination of sufficiency in ground. Now, considering that the answer has very limited responses to the offenses, and most of the discussions pertain really to the violation of due process and failure to state ultimate facts. For me, it's like the opportunity to convince the justice members not to declare sufficiency in ground was lost. No? Kasi in the determination of sufficiency in ground, the answer should be the basis. If the answer was substantial enough to reduce the substance of the impeachment complaint. But the thing is, the responses to the allegations of offenses were very limited. And perhaps you've seen it during our deliberation, most of the Kongs were simply reiterating the same argument that they articulated already during the sufficiency in substance. That is because there is no enough allegations in the answer to comment on.
Thank you po. Sir, baka si Kong Terry, baka meron din po. Hindi po ba answer yung mga yun? Yung at least yung tatlo na wala naman daw kontrata, under appeal yung disallowance, at sinungaling naman daw si Madriaga?
Well, I think more than considering it as an answer, parang ang tawag dun sa mga ganun, parang sabi-sabi. Di ba? Kasi basically, the defense is incomplete. Halimbawa, dun sa wala daw hong contract to kill. No? Hindi naman ho pinag-uusapan kung may kontrata o wala eh. Ang pinag-uusapan ho dito, yung speech itself. The speech itself, ano ho yung laman nun? Hindi ba? Merong threat against the President, the First Lady, and the former House Speaker. Hindi ho usapin yung contract to kill. And more importantly, wala hong kontrata, I think. Anong hinahanap nung depensa? May written document na merong kontrata para magpatay ng tao? Hindi ko wala naman gumagawa nun eh. So what kind of answer is that actually? Hindi ba? And yun na nga, ang pinag-usapan dun, the speech itself. The threat against the President, the First Lady, and the former House Speaker. Yun po yung pinag-uusapan na ginawa ng pangalawang Pangulo. Hindi po yung kontrata. And hindi lang naman yun eh. Yung pangalawa, yung kagustuhan niya na pugutan ng ulo ang Pangulo. Hindi ba? It is another threat which is not conditional. No? So, dalawang magkaibang insidente po ito ng pagbabanta. Yung sa usapin po nung Madriaga, the perjury case will proceed as it should. No? So, kung meron hong hindi katotohanan doon, and then they will have to face it at that particular proceeding. Pero the Madriaga affidavit will stand and the credibility of Mr. Madriaga will be tested in the course of hearing proper. No? So, mapag-uusapan po talaga yan pong bagay na. And finally, doon po sa, hindi pa daw ho pinal, yung pong mga notices of disallowances, katulad ng binanggit na ho natin in the past, hindi naman ho kailang pagbanggain eh. Yung proseso sa COA, it is an audit proceeding. If there's a notice of disallowance, there is an order to return the money. It is distinct from and separate from an impeachment proceeding in which all the evidence in that particular AOM and notice of disallowance will still be used in this impeachment proceeding at magkaiba ho yung konsekwensya. Dito, pagsasoli ng pera sa COA, dito po sa impeachment proceeding, pagtatanggal po ng impeachable officer. So, ibig sabihin, hindi ho pwedeng pagbanggain ng kanya pong kampo na just because hindi pa final yung pong COA proceeding, hindi ho pwedeng gamitin sa isang impeachment proceeding. Hindi po ho yung tama. At magtutuloy ito pong ground na ito as we go into hearing proper.
Thank you, sir. Yan lang po sa akin. Thank you.
Chair, good afternoon po. When will the notices for the complainants and the VP be sent out? And expected po ba yung both camps to appear on March 25?
We will be sending the notice as soon as possible. No? For the complainant, I think we can anticipate that they will come because they are the party who filed these impeachment complaints with the House of Representatives through the Office of the Secretary General. But for the respondent, the Vice President, that is actually her prerogative, whether she will attend or she will not attend.
But her presence, but the notice will mention the March 25 date.
Yes.
Okay. Tapos, dun po sa pag-present ng evidence, is it third complainants and then VP, and then fourth, and then VP?
That's
Or,
correct.
Not third and fourth, then VP.
No, we should give opportunity to counter the evidence of the complainant by the respondent. So the proper flow should be presentation of the complainant of evidence during on the third impeachment complaint, presentation by the respondent on the third impeachment complaint. And then we proceed to the presentation of complainant on the fourth impeachment complaint, and then presentation of respondent on the fourth impeachment complaint. After all of these are done, we proceed to the determination of probable cause.
Chair, where are we in the 60 days? And will you count the hearing days during the recess, like March 25 is one session day?
You remember the definition of the Supreme Court of Session Day. It is a calendar day so long as there is session. Nevertheless, I perceive this as the intention of the Supreme Court to prevent delays in the impeachment proceedings. And that is why we resolve to seek the authority of the House of Representatives, the plenary, the authority to proceed with our hearing even during recess. No? So, that is one. But as to your question, nasaan na tayo dun sa 60 session days given to the Justice Committee to finish the impeachment proceeding, actually, pinabilang ko yan eh. Using the definition of the Supreme Court, it seems to us that it will end in January 2027 pa. No? Kasi if you will be applying strictly the definition of the Supreme Court, wala dapat hearing during recess. No? But again, we are looking into the intention of the Supreme Court when they define this session day, which is to prevent delay. And that is why we sought the authority of the plenary, the House of Representatives, if we can proceed to hearing these impeachment complaints even during recess. And they granted that authority. As a matter of fact, that is the resolution that I read before we suspended, no? And I saw in the news also last night that it was sponsored by the Speaker, the Majority Leader, and the Minority Leader.
So, ma'am, follow-up lang. So how do we count March 25 and the 3 April hearing dates?
Ang pagbilang po natin doon, hindi ho siya kasama doon sa session day kasi we are on break. No? So, I think at the moment, we are on the 10th day pa lang. No? So, hindi ho kasama sa bilang yung within the break. No? So, matatapos po... Ano? Yeah, no, the definition is really kung ano ho yung sinabi ng Supreme Court na at this point. No? So, matatapos po yung 60 days, I think in 5 months' time. So medyo mahaba pa ho yung panahon to basically dispose of the proceedings at the House Justice Committee level.
Thank you po.
You think po ba matatapos natin ito in 5 months time? Even before that?
This committee?
Yes.
I don't
Or-
think
or
that
how
it
many
will,
months po ang
it will
nakikita
consume 5 months, no? Kasi my consideration is the grounds. The grounds alleged in the offenses and the grounds alleged in the third and the fourth impeachment complaint are almost the same. So I am anticipating, no, that after a lengthy presentation of evidence in the third impeachment complaint, baka pagdating ng fourth, magkaroon ng adoption yan. Because it will be very, very tedious kung ipapa-identify mo ulit isa-isa yung the pieces of documents which are being offered in support of the allegations in the third impeachment complaint, no? I don't think it will extend up to 5 months.
May nakikita po ba kayo, ma'am, na tingin nyo, estimate nyo, na target nyo, tingin nyo matatapos sa Committee on Justice? Anong month?
Perhaps after the March 25 hearing, we will be able to assess the number of hearings needed for us to be able to reach the determination of probable cause.
Sorry, I have to ask lang po, Kong Nyo, if you wanna, Kong Terry, if you wanna comment on Kong Toby Chanco's statement. Sinabi po niya kasi kahapon daw that, baka daw yung iba gusto raw nilang ma-impeach si VP Sara dahil natatakot sila sa posibilidad na maging presidente siya. Kung maging presidente raw kasi si VP Sara, for sure daw mapapanagot niya raw itong mga sangkot sa flood control scandal. And he said, VP Sara is really for accountability.
Well, una sa lahat, dapat pangalanan niya kung sino yung sinasabi niyang mga kongresista na mag-i-impeach on the basis lang para makalusot po sa pagpapanagot, no, sa flood control proceedings or infrastructure corruption. Pangalanan niya kasi parang maraming mga tao doon eh. No? And pangalawa, tingin ko pwede naman hong tumakbo yung pong accountability mechanisms on infrastructure corruption, flood control, at impeachment proceedings ng magkasabay. At nangyayari na ho yun. Meron pong tumatakbong proceedings sa level po ng Ombudsman at Sandigan Bayan ngayon. Samantalang dito, tumatakbo po yung accountability mechanisms to an impeachment against the Vice President. So, tingin ko dapat hindi pagbanggain po ni Congressman Chanco ito, and ultimately, dapat magpangalan siya. Dahil unfair po ito doon sa mga, tingin ko hindi naman napangalanan sa kahit anong dokumento na nagsusupport po na impeachment, no? Yan ba yung mga taong binabanggit ni Congressman Chanco na supportive of the impeachment just because they want to go scot-free during a Sara Duterte presidency? That I think would be very unfair to them.
Is for accountability?
Well, first of all, 1,000,000% is something that does not exist in math, no? But secondly, I think that question is best coursed to the Vice President herself, no? On ano ho ba yung accountability, most particularly because she has pronounced herself to be running for 2028, no? So I think questions on accountability and accountability mechanisms is something that should be squarely asked to her, no? Kasi that is something that should be a pillar of any presidential candidate. Hindi ba?
Sir, sa inyo pong dalawa, is fear of a Sara Duterte presidency a factor in your decision in the deliberations in the Committee on Justice?
I think that is irrelevant to the question of accountability. Kasi even if we talk about a Sara Duterte presidency in 2028, the fact remains is that an impeachable officer needs to be able to explain questions relating to confidential funds, questions relating to death threats against the president, and questions relating to unexplained wealth and the SALN. Actually, these are very relevant to questions on any person that would want to seek the presidency in 2028. No, so I think this is a matter that should be resolved today and not be resolved at any future time.
Will the Vice President's responses, treatment of this impeachment proceeding be a reflection if she is indeed for accountability?
Well, I don't want to conjecture what she thinks, no? I think that is again, like what I stated, that is something that is better addressed to her, no? And alam po, malaya naman po yung pangalawang Pangulo to undertake all the mechanisms for defense, no? In this impeachment proceedings. If she wants to go to the Supreme Court, she's free to do so. If she wants to confront the matter squarely at the level of the House Committee on Justice or at the level of the Senate, if we reach to that, that is her right and that is her prerogative. But questions on what we feel, on what we think relating to her views on accountability is something that is best asked to the Vice President herself.
Question lang. What if lang po, during the deliberations, during the hearing, mag-resign si VP Sara? Ano pong mangyayari sa impeachment proceedings?
For me, the impeachment proceeding should continue. Because there are two principal penalties. If convicted, one is removal, the other is perpetual disqualification to hold any public office, no? So, bagaman the resignation will render moot and academic the penalty of removal, I think the penalty of perpetual disqualifications need to be resolved as well. And for us to be able to resolve that, it means that the impeachment proceeding must continue